Hello, I'm Dr. Munira Bano. I'm a software engineer and I work at the Faculty of Science, Engineering and Built Environment at Deakin University. As a software engineer, I work at the intersection of humans and computers, which means that my research focuses on engineering new technologies and improving the processes for creating those new technologies that will help in creating a technology-based future which is fair, unbiased, and beneficial to everyone, regardless of their gender, race, and ethnicity. I decided to be a software engineer because I think computers offer much more potential for human creativity. During this pandemic, it was the IT infrastructure that provided us with the means to stay connected with our loved ones, to sustain some of the businesses, and even support the educational resources that the teachers could use to stay connected to students online. When I was growing up, I never had any female role models. I come from Pashtun ethnicity in the north of Pakistan, where women were not encouraged to have a school or university education. I was the first one in my family to go into a male-dominated field of engineering and IT, and I had to find my own ways. And this is one of the reasons that I am now standing up as a part of the Superstar of STEM program in Science Technology Australia to show other girls coming from a similar backgrounds as mine that they do have a role model now to find. They don't have to find their own ways, and they would know that it's not impossible.
Good morning and welcome to the webinar for the Go Girl for IT Cyber event for 2001. I hope you're all feeling absolutely great. I'd like to start by asking you to hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, and any questions regarding the codes, please go to the Go Girl website. All the information is there. So joining us today are speakers from ANZ, who will share with you their amazing stories. And up next is our wonderful technology area leader at ANZ, Sharon Sampson. So stay tuned and enjoy it.
Thanks so much, Melody, for that really warm introduction. And hello and a big welcome to our students and teachers, parents, carers, and the Go Girl event community that are tuning in today. My name is Sharon Sampson, as Melody has said, and I'm a technology leader at ANZ. I lead a team of people across the globe who provide ANZ employees with the technology and the software that they need so that they can serve our ANZ customers with their financial wellbeing. We have nearly 6,000 people working in technology at ANZ and 50,000 in total. It's a big, busy and fun place. So thank you for coming to the event today. It won't be an ordinary day, and I hope you're sitting in a comfy spot and ready for a lot of fun. I hope you've also had lots of fun in your sessions this morning. If you're on social media, you can share your pics and stories using hashtag GoGirl2021, any girl for IT, and you can find us on Insta at GoGirl4IT. We would love you to ask questions in the comments as we go along. As Melody said, also please hit the subscribe button. Now, I want to tell you how proud our Women in Tech community are of you, our students, each and every one of you, for the way that you're handling yourself during the global pandemic. Things are really different now at school, at home, and for us at work, but we're all in this together, and technology has been crucial to keeping us all connected when we can't be physically together. ANZ has been a proud sponsor for Go Girl for IT for many, many years, and we love meeting you and sharing our passion for technology with you. Our goal is to even up the numbers a little more in the fields of technology, engineering, science and maths. At the moment, these industries, on average, are made up of about a third women. We think we can do better than that. So at ANZ and other Go Girl sponsor organisations like Car Sales, Yellowfin, Granite Consulting, and Motorola, we all make products or we design services for the community, and we know the research tells us that when we can design and build the best products and services, we can do that when we have a balance of people in the team. Balance means balance of gender, ethnic background, and abilities. The research also tells us that inspiring young people to take up STEM whilst they're at school is key to ensuring more of you join us in the field. So here we are. We're here to share our stories, inspire you, and help you on your way if you're not already in the wonderful world of tech. As I said, I hope you enjoyed your workshops and career showcases today. The ANZ career showcases were jam-packed with activities and prizes, and I hope you've been lucky to win one. You're currently in the webinar speaker series streaming live on YouTube, and I'd like now to introduce you to Sam Davies. Sam has been with ANZ for 10 years. She has undertaken many exciting jobs in technology in her time, and one of her favourite jobs has been leading the cyber defence teams at ANZ, who stop our hackers, the hackers hacking in ANZ on a daily basis. She used to call herself a modern day policewoman. I'll let her tell you all about that later. She's now leading teams on a project called Simplification, and their mission is to move ANZ technology, which is servers, big pieces of equipment, out of our data centres and closets and into the cloud. Sam has lived and worked in 7 countries and now calls Australia home with her husband and her kiddos. Sam's going to talk to us today about using technology as the golden ticket to travel the world and unleashing her creativity along the way. So for now, I'm going to let you take it away, Sam.
Thanks, Sharon. Yes, I wanted to talk today about how lucky I have been in technology and how it's allowed me to travel the world, and it's been the golden ticket, as Sharon said. Now, I always wanted to be, I'm going to tell you about 7 little stories around the 7 countries that I've lived in. And I was born in South Africa, and in South Africa, I always wanted to be a fashion designer. But this is how I draw. So in those days, they didn't have computer-aided design. And when I went to go and try and be a fashion designer, they went, you kind of need to be able to draw a little bit better than that. And so I thought, all right, you know what? When I've left school, what am I going to do? I thought I can't be a fashion designer, so I'm going to learn to type. And I got a job as a data processor, which meant that I used to go through reams and reams and reams of customer names and enter them into a computer. Now, I'm probably showing my age, and you guys probably, you've grown up with computers, but for me, that was quite spectacular. Anyway, every day I would watch this group of people come into the bank, into the area that I worked in. And there was this woman amongst all these men. There were about 15 men and 1 woman. And every day I would watch her, and she would wear the most spectacular clothes. And so I thought she must be a fashion designer or something like that. I used to idolize her. One day I asked what she did, and they told me that she was a computer programmer. And I thought, that's it. I want to be a computer programmer. I want to be her. And so this is where I'm hoping that today you can take some inspiration from all the workshops and all the keynote speakers to actually see how wonderful the IT industry can be. And yes, I wanted to be a fashion designer, but when I saw her and I thought, she is spectacular, I want to be her. If you dream it, you can be it. I just said, I want to be a programmer. So my first lesson that I learned from South Africa was, oops, I'm losing myself, dream it and you can be it. And so I then decided I needed to go to university because I couldn't be a computer programmer without going to university. So luckily my dad lived in Canada. So that was the next country that I moved to. When I went to Canada, I wanted to go to university, but I hadn't done that well at high school. I'd done very well in maths and English, but the rest, I think I got an F for French. So you can tell that I hadn't really focused on a lot of my subjects. And so the universities, I'd applied to about, I'd say 10 universities, and every single one of them said, nah, we don't want you. And I was crying on the floor. I was literally lying on the floor crying. And my father came in and he said, are you actually going to take no for an answer? And I went, well, what else am I going to do? I can't force the universities to let me in. And he said, why don't you actually go knock on the door and ask to speak to them? I thought that was crazy. Like, who goes and knocks on a university door and asks them to let you in? But I did. I went, I knocked on quite a few doors. They still said no, but one of the universities actually said yes. They actually thought that I was so brave to come and ask them that they said yes. And do you know what I did? I did a degree in computer science. And do you know, I actually got one of the highest marks because I was out to prove a point that I was meant to be there. One of the other lesson I learned in Canada was the doors will open for those, this is very hard to do, the doors will be open for those who are bold enough to knock. I have to tell you just a very quick other story about Canada. When I was there, I was standing in line ready to go into a lecture theatre for one of my new courses, and a guy came up to me and he said, "You're not going to do very well at this course." And I said, "Why am I not going to do well at this course?" And he said, "Because you're a woman and this is maths." And so in those days, there was a little bit more, I'd say, bias against, there weren't that many women in the fields that I was studying in. And so what I did was I started to work so hard at that course. At the end of the course, I looked up at all the marks, because what they used to do is they used to post all the results up on a big sheets. And I was looking for my name, couldn't find my name. And the guy came up to me and he said, "Do you know what? You are actually the top." And I had come top of that list. Now, the other, I started working after I finished my computer science degree in Canada. I started working in a bank in technology as a coder, as a computer programmer. And I loved it. I used to love, going and seeing the big computers. But one day I thought, you know what, how long can I do this? I really want to do something different. So I decided to go to the Czech Republic. Now, the Czech Republic was an interesting time because, of course, I couldn't speak the language. But I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. So I went to the Czech Republic and I was teaching computers and I was teaching English. And I think I learned more from them than they learned from me, put it this way. One of the stories from the Czech Republic is I was in front of my class and I'd set them an exam. And now I know you all have done tests and you know you're not allowed to talk during your tests. Everyone likes to, they make sure that you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to share answers. Well, my students, there were about 20 of them in the class, they all started talking to each other. And no matter how much I tried to stop them from talking to each other, they kept talking and asking each other the questions. And I said, "Guys, you can't talk and you can't cheat. That's cheating. You can't cheat." And of course they were like, "But when we graduate, wouldn't we be helping each other?" And I said, "Well, yes." And they said, wouldn't we be working as a team? Isn't that the way the world works?" And it was really interesting for me because I didn't know what to say. I thought, you know what, they are right. We actually have to work as teams. You can be the best programmer or the best computer person in the world, but if you can't work in a team, you're really going to struggle. So nowadays, really, I think they were right. I was wrong. And a lot of what we do nowadays in technology is getting along with each other. Not everyone's always right. And I know at universities now, they often have to do group projects. I know because my daughter's at university and she complains about it. And I say that is probably one of the most important things. So what did I learn from the Czech Republic? I learned it's all about teamwork. It's all about working together in a team. You can be the best there is, but you have to be able to work in a team. So I then ended up back in Canada. And I'm going to tell you the fourth story. The fourth story was I got headhunted. Now, headhunting means that somebody came to offer me a job. So they didn't cut my head off, but that's what they called it in Canada. They came to me and asked me if I wanted a job in Bermuda. And I thought to myself, do I want to work in Bermuda? I don't even know where Bermuda is. But I thought, you know what, let's let's give this a go. So I told everybody, I'm going to go to Bermuda. I'm going to go work in Bermuda. Do you know, everybody said, you can't be a single white female in Bermuda. You can't go work there by yourself. You can't do that. And I kept thinking, well, I could, why? You know, I was saying, why can't I do this? And they were like, well, it's dangerous. You're a girl on your own. You can't do this. Do you know, I'm so glad I didn't listen to them. They told me all sorts of horror stories about what was going to happen in Bermuda. Bermuda was spectacular. From the minute I flew in and I saw that aqua blue water, and I got to work in some of the best technology. I got to watch people, you know, do their banking. I worked on some of the best computer systems. I had such a good time. I'd go to the beach every afternoon. And so my lesson that I learned from Bermuda was, don't believe everything. Don't believe everything people tell you. Don't believe that, you know, there's all this stuff on the internet. You don't always have to believe it. Luckily, you know, unless someone had actually been to Bermuda and they told me what it was like, that's what I would have believed. But half the people that spoke to me had never even been to Bermuda. Now, luckily, I did go to Bermuda because that's where I lived for 2 years and I met my husband. He was also working in Bermuda. So we decided that after 2 years of working in Bermuda, we wanted to go somewhere else. So he's English, he's from England. And so we thought maybe we'll go live in England for a little bit. So we went to go to live in London. Now, London is fantastic to work in, and again, through technology. So I worked for a company there called Swift. It was you doing Swift payments, which is what the banks use to transfer money between themselves and between across the globe. And again, I was a girl I worked with about 20 men because I was, again, one of the only women in this coding these Swift systems. And when I got there, every Friday, the guys would all stand up and they would just leave at 2 o'clock. And I was left holding the fort, listening to answering all the phones. And I kept thinking, where are they going? And why are they not inviting me? But after about 4 weeks of them getting up and walking out without telling me where they were going, I thought, that's it. So the fifth week, I stood up with them and I said, where are you going? And they said, we're going to the pub. And I went, well, I want to come. I want to come with you. I don't want to sit here by myself. And they said, well, you can. Of course you can. Why didn't you just come? And it was interesting because I thought, they said, we don't ask, we just go. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, because me as a female, I thought that I would have to be invited or someone would see me sitting there on my own and feel sorry for me and invite me along. But no, they didn't. And so one of my favorite books is actually by Sheryl Sandberg, and it's called Lean In. And my lesson there was, take your seat at the table, ask to go to the pub, ask that you should be entitled to something. Say, you know what, I actually want to come with you, or I think I'd be good at that. I want to, maybe it might not be the pub, but it might be something like, you know, I want to come with you. I want to go and do that. Ask for what you want. I always say to all the women that come and work with us at ANZ, just if you want something, ask for it. The worst that can happen is someone can say no. And luckily they never said no. And I had a wonderful time for 2 years in England working in technology again. So another 2 years of working in England, and again, itchy feet. My husband and I decided, where should we go next? So we thought, let's go to New Zealand. Now, New Zealand was interesting because I had, by that stage, my husband was working in a bank and I didn't want to work in the same bank as him. He was working for ANZ, strangely enough. And I thought, I don't want to work at the same place as him, so I'm going to go work somewhere else. But I struggled to find a job, which was quite interesting considering I'd been in technology for a while. But the problem is that I had started getting myself into what's sort of a very niche coding language, which was called Delphi, which no one had ever heard of. And so I didn't have the skills that everybody wanted, but I managed to find my way into a job where I told them that I would code them systems and I would help them create something. And that's where the creativity came in, because I had to be creative about how I got a job. And that was my lesson in New Zealand. Creativity is key. Now, after a while of being in New Zealand, I said to my husband, I think I need a bigger place. Let's go to Australia. So I arrived in Australia, and I like to say that I came and fell with my bottom in the butter, which is a saying I like to use, because Australia and Melbourne is fantastic, and luckily it was the 7th country that I came to, and it's been wonderful for me. Now, my first job was actually working in the Australian Open tennis, and again, it was an interesting environment because I had 2 little children, and they said to me, well, you can't work on the systems all the time if you only want to work part-time. So I would watch Nadal and Federer and Venus Williams and all these people line up every day to try and book tennis courts. And I thought, so I went to the lead technology guy, the lead of technology, and I said to him, how about I build you a court booking system while I'm at home? So I'm going to go home, I'm going to be with my children, and I'm going to build you a court booking system. And that court booking system is going to text all the players their courts that they've booked, and they don't have to stand in line. Even though I used to love going and watching all the tennis players stand in line, it was fantastic. But you know, there wasn't really a reason for them to be standing in line, because technology can change that, especially with SMSs and things like that. So I decided I would, you know, write this court booking system all by myself at home. And I did, while my little kids were running around. And that system ended up being bought by the US Open and by Roland Garros. That one little tiny system that I built by myself was a system that the other Grand Slams bought. And so that's my claim to fame anyway. So then my husband was working for ANZ, and I knew it was a fantastic place to work. And I knew that it really supported women in technology through what I'd seen, you know, through his workplace. So I thought, you know what, I want to work for ANZ. And again, I knock on doors. When somebody, I'm going to ask. So I sent an email to someone and I said, can I come and work for ANZ? And I didn't hear anything. And so I decided to call her, and I called her and I said, can I please, you know, can I get an interview? And she said, I'm so busy, I don't have time to read my emails right now. And I said, well, I'm going to save you the time, and I'm going to tell you you're going to want to hire me because I'm going to make your life easy. Now, that's not the normal way that you get into ANZ, but it's the way I got into ANZ, and I've been here for 10 years now. And I always, I laugh because it really has allowed me to grow. I've been able to have a wonderful career where I've been able to go into what I call the wonderlands of technology, security, protecting the bank, finding out about things that you would never have even guessed happens through cybersecurity, fascinating data science, things that they do in cybersecurity, and it really is wonderful. Now you're probably wondering, what is the lesson that I've learnt from Australia? Now the lesson that I've learnt, and I think I would hope everyone can learn, and I'm first just going to show you, and I'm not sure if you can see this article, but there was an article done about me, and I'll do this, in the Herald Sun. And it was about me because everybody, some of my friends were asking, how do you do it all? How do you have children, and you work in the bank, and you're so busy? And so they wrote this article about me, and I said, look, you know, it's not always women that support women. It's also men that support women. And so what they changed the article to was super hubby makes it all possible. So they actually changed my wording. So they gave the accolades to my husband. Now, my husband is wonderful, and men do support women. But as many of the keynote speakers will tell you, and as many of the workshops will tell you, we need to, as women, grow that woman in tech. We need to support each other. We need to start really banding together and making a change and that's why I'm so passionate about things like Go Girl, because that's the sort of things that we need to do. So what's my message? My message is be fearless. So, be fearless. You know, I don't know if any of you know about the Fearless Girl. So a company put a bronze statue of a girl in front of the bull in Wall Street, because as women, often we have to face the bull. And what we need to do is stand together. I think as women, we need to stand together, or as girls, we need to stand together. And so that's where I think, you know, those are the lessons that I've learned. So if you go back to all the lessons and what I've done throughout my life, I'd say there's 7 key lessons, and I'll just go through them quickly again. Dream it, and you can be it. So don't take no for an answer. The doors will be opened if you knock on them. It's all about teamwork. So work as a team. Don't believe everything you hear. So don't believe everything people tell you unless you know it for a fact. Ask for what you want. Take your seat at the table. Creativity is key, and be fearless. Now, some of you might wonder what happened to my fashion design. Well, guess what? In technology, I can still have my cake and eat it too. So what I do on the side is one of my hobbies, and I do costumes. So I make costumes, Grease, the chorus line. These are all the costumes that I make for theatres. So I make costumes. So in the end, I'm not only a technologist, but I actually became the fashion designing technologist. And that's it from me today, Sharon. Hopefully everyone enjoyed a few of my little stories. And yeah, I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was fantastic. It's so wonderful. Even though we work together, I always learn lots more about people when we have these wonderful sessions. So thank you for your 7 tips and your journey around the globe. We've got some amazing questions that have come in from our folks on the stream today. So the first one for you is, did all of these interactions with different people around the world help you to become more confident?
That's a really good question. I would say that I didn't really have a lot of confidence until I was older, and I'd say probably the person who gave me the most confidence was my dad. You know, someone who constantly, and that's really important, I think, to get that mentor, someone that, and I'm happy always to mentor people. If anybody ever wants to reach out to me, I'm always happy to tell people, because often as females, we don't always have the confidence that we need. So I've only probably developed that confidence in the last couple of years, I would say. So no, I wasn't always that confident. I had a lot of people backing me.
So true, isn't it? I think our journeys from where we are, where our wonderful Go Girls sit, to now is very different. So take those chances and try and take risks. Now, another question for you, Sam, is, wow, you've been to so many places. What was the most exciting and what did you learn there?
I would say the most exciting was Bermuda, because I didn't know that it was an island just off New York. It isn't where everyone thinks it is, which is the Caribbean. And that's, I suppose, because I met my husband there, and also because I really got to learn that life is about taking chances. Just go for it, you know. And yes, it was scary to go there to start with, but take that step. Just close your eyes and jump.
Such good advice. Thank you very much. These are great questions. I've got a great one here for you. Don't know whether you're going to be willing to answer it or not, but how much did they pay for your app in the tennis world?
I have no idea. I always wondered that myself. So unfortunately, I didn't get paid for it. I mean, I got paid my salary, but it wasn't mine. And that's the thing. When you work for a company, you don't actually own the app yourself. The company owns the app. So I don't know. I should probably ask them that. That's a good question.
It's a good question. Now, can I work in tech along with being a K-pop idol and a swimmer? So that's a good one. Someone's very busy on the live stream today. Already got a busy life.
I love that question because that's exactly what I'm trying to say. You can have your cake and eat it too. I do a lot of things in my spare time, and I know you do too, Sharon. So yes, you can definitely have it all. Definitely.
Fantastic. And what inspired you to travel the globe and not stay in one place? So you've moved around a lot from place to place. So what made you do that?
Good question. I think I was born curious. I'd say that's the word. And so I always knew that I wanted to travel, and I always knew I've wanted to see as many places as possible. That is just something that's still, I'd say it's still ingrained in me. I can't wait till COVID allows us all out and we can fly around the world again. The latest Qantas ad makes me cry, but don't know if everyone's seen it, but
yes, I agree with you. We've got some excellent questions coming through from our participants today, so keep them coming. Now the next one is, are there hackers at ANZ and are they bad people?
Oh, I love that question. So we have bad hackers that try and hack the bank. Yes, definitely. There's lots of people trying to hack the bank every day, and that's why we have to stop them. But we also hire people that are called ethical hackers. And I know that sounds strange, but we do. We hire people to come and try and hack the bank, and they're good people. They're not bad people, but they are people that are very smart, and we want them to try and hack the bank so we can figure out if we need to protect the bank better. So that, but we have the good and the bad.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and the good ones are working hard, if not harder than the bad ones, right? So
Correct.
we really do value that sort of skill set, and it's viewed as good. We've got these wonderful Red Hat team who go and do their work and help us protect our customers. These questions are great. So the next one is, don't believe everything is a great message. Do you have any important examples in your life around not believing everything that you're told?
Well, I think my example of Bermuda was a classic. I have another example. Someone told me once, I have traveled a lot, not just worked. I've traveled to other countries, and often I get people telling me not to go to certain countries because they're dangerous. And yes, they are. And I think you have to go to legitimate government websites to find out if they're dangerous or not. But you don't have to always listen to just what's on the internet or what people are telling you. I think if you go to legitimate sites, you can find out the real things. So that's how I've always tried to work.
That's fantastic. And another question is, what's your favourite thing for you to do in your spare time?
Well, I love to sew. So obviously I make costumes, but I also sew, and I like to walk. I love nature. So there's a lot of things that I do outside of work, and I think that's important. You've got to have that balance of what you do at work as well as what's outside of work.
Very much agree. Now we're back to the confidence. It seems like our ladies today are very interested in how to be more brave and more confident. So what made you confident to stand up and knock on those doors? What was it that really sort of triggered you into doing that?
I always think, and look, everyone's nervous. I always get scared. I get scared even doing these sorts of things, but I always think, well, what's the worst that can happen, right? And I think if that's my attitude, if the worst that can happen is someone says no, well, then how bad is that? That can't be that bad. So I think that's what gives me that bravery. And that's, I always just decide that I'm just going to do it. So.
I love when you close your eyes when you do that. encapsulates that
I know.
feeling. Let's do it.
I always think of myself as a kid when I used to stand on those diving board and jump into the pool. I used to close my eyes and jump, and that's the analogy that I use when I think about just doing it.
So good. Now, do you know much about the dark web? And would this be important to learn about? Important to learn about the bad guys and what they're up to and those sorts of things if you're looking to study in technology?
Oh, yes. So we actually have a whole team of what we call our threat intelligence team, and they don't actually go on the dark web themselves. There are companies that actually do it for you, and then they get the information that you want off that dark web, because the dark web can be quite dangerous, and it also can, have some really bad things on there. So we don't tend to do that ourselves, but we have people that go and look at the dark web for any threats, and that's why we call them the threat intelligence team. And we work closely with the police as well. So there's a lot of what we call intelligence that comes through to ANZ, and we share that intelligence amongst all the banks and amongst the government, and it's really quite clever.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Got another great question. Keep them coming, girls. They're awesome. Thank you very much for posting them in the comments. Is it bad to be too confident? This is a great question. I love this one.
Yes, I think there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. And I hope I'm not coming across as arrogant. So, yes, I don't think there's anything that's too confident. I think confidence is important. However, I think sometimes there's a fine line between being arrogant and confident. Not sure that answers the question. I don't know. How do you feel? What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I do. I agree with you very much. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, absolutely. And I think in your gut when you've crossed that line. You kind of know there's something that sort of pops up for you, and you might have gone a bit too far. And that's okay. It's great to make mistakes too. I think one of the things that's very important is learning and growing and making mistakes. So another question for you, Sam, is what has been one of your memorable mistakes, and how do you recover from them when you have a fall?
Oh, that's a good one. One of my favorite stories is when I was in Canada and I was a young graduate, and I just graduated, and I wrote a system that it used to be, I know this is old, but it used to write checks for the bank, and by mistake there was a bug in my code, and it ended up writing double checks, and it ended up almost costing the bank $1 million. Because if we hadn't have caught the fact that my program had written double checks, I would have been in very big trouble. And my lesson from that was always double check. So I think mistakes are good. Everyone makes mistakes. It's that you learn from those mistakes is what matters.
Yeah, I think it's so good. So we've got another question here. How does your office compare to working from home, and what challenges have you faced, and how did you overcome them when you've been working between those two environments over this really interesting global pandemic?
Yeah, that is interesting. Look, I think there's some advantages and disadvantages to working from home. The advantage is that I can actually focus sometimes. I don't always have people coming to my desk, or I'm not always busy running from meeting to meeting. The disadvantage is obviously what everyone has to put up with today, which is being on technology. Wouldn't it be so much nicer to have this face-to-face? And that human contact that we all crave, I think, is something that I really, really miss.
Yes.
Now, yeah. What do you think, Sharon? You feel the same?
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the things I'd like to know is what advice do you have for our girls who are trying to school from home, just like we're trying to work from home? What have you found that works for you when you're doing that? What things do you need to remind yourself when you're sitting at home, tuning into all those Zoom calls and doing your work and assignments?
For me, the biggest one is take a break. So I try not to sit for too long. So I will always do maximum 45 minutes, and I get up, I stretch, take a break. I just think anything that you're just focusing on for too long, it becomes really, really, really hard. And so I also try and make a very big distinction between, when I turn off my laptop, I turn it off so that I can get a break from technology as well, because I think it's become quite intense to have it on all day and we're always on the screens. So for me, it's quite important to turn it off.
Absolutely. And our final question for this session today, is your job fun or not? And what have you learned from your job at ANZ?
My job is incredibly fun. So, and the thing I love about working at ANZ is I get to try different jobs. So recently I've just changed my job, so from cybersecurity into what I call the simplification, and that's what I love. My job is so much fun, and it's fun because of the people that I get to work with. The people make everything and the teams make everything, and people at ANZ, we have some really good teams and we work really well together, and we've got some really good support networks, and I love my job. Love it.
Fabulous. Thank you so very much. I love mine too. We hope that we've given you some inspiration to continue your studies, or start them if you haven't really got into STEM just yet. It's time for us to wrap up, so I hope you've had a chance to enjoy the session today, and also to see our ANZ Creative Challenge. I'm going to pop something up on the screen for you now, just to remind you of this amazing challenge that we've got happening today. Your entries are due by the end of the day. We've extended the closing date. So if you'd like to win an amazing prize pack that ANZ is offering today, with a rose gold iPad Air and some amazing accessories like a keyboard and those sorts of things, we'd love to know, in your opinion, what would inspire you or other young females to explore STEM subjects and a career in tech. And you can send us pictures, a collage, a narrative or a short story, whatever way works for you in terms of expressing yourself. So please send those in to us. We'd love you to be in the running for that amazing prize pack. And this concludes our webinar for today. We hope you found our sessions inspiring and learnt lots along the way. Thank you so much for your company, and have a fantastic rest of the day.
Oh, I didn't notice you there. Welcome back. Time flies when you have fun learning new things, doesn't it? I'm Jessica Wynn, the Associate Director for GoGirl 2021. And I want to say a big thank you to you for joining our second Cyber Edition event. I hope you've been inspired by the amazing speakers and presenters here today, and come out of this event aware of some of the many possibilities your STEM journey can lead to. By attending the GoGirl event, I hope you can see your future STEM career and view the speakers, presenters, and guides as role models that you can become. Today's speakers have covered a wide range of topics, from what it's like to be in cybersecurity, getting up close and personal with coding, to taking a sneak peek under the curtains of artificial intelligence, all the way to designing with the customer experience in mind, and much more. The vast area of STEM is such a great place to be in now and the future, and I hope to see many, if not all of you, be encouraged to get out there and give it a go. I hope you've noticed those letters flashing around and submitted your response to the Codebreaker competition. Everyone who submits an answer gets a little something something, so don't be shy and give it a try. The Go Girl Goes social competition is still running, so assuming that you're at the right age or have a parent or guardian submitting on your behalf, jump in and take a snap or reel, or simply share your experience as per our guidelines and get engaging. You've got until 5 p.m. tonight. We'll also reach out in coming days to hear what you thought of GoGirl 2021. So make sure to keep an eye out and share your experience with us. I'm sharing this a little early, but we'd love to see you at GoGirl 2022. All right? Assuming we've seen the last of COVID lockdowns, We'd love to be able to welcome you and share all of this excitement in person. Keep an eye on the socials for the dates. We'll be in touch. Till then,